Hello and welcome to Accelerated Report tutorial. Let's begin by opening the program. Simply double-click the file. And by design, the program will always default and open at the home page. Click anywhere in between the orange shaded rectangle area on the home page and a password box will appear. Enter EDS and note that your password is case sensitive, may only use capital letters. So you'll be automatically directed to January each and every time, and obviously you would click the appropriate month to start logging your information. Nice thing about the program is you only need one program per calendar year. It's going to give you each individual month, and each individual month is 100% independent, meaning that you can set it up, and if things change, if you want to change F&I managers or sales managers or how your franchise report looks, you can do so on a monthly basis. We also have a monthly roll-up report that we'll demonstrate and review after we log some deals. So let's just review our headers. You can see we have our date, customer name, etc. It's not required that you fill out each and every column. On some columns, as we go across, you'll see a drop-down. The drop-down just simply means that it's pulling from the setup portion, and it's going to ensure that that entry is 100% accurate, because that entry is going to be used typically for some type of reporting tool. As we go across, we can see that we'll be tracking front-end profit. You don't have to log it with front-end if you don't want to, but it will generate on the report your front-end profit, averages, and combined with your back-end. We also break out your lease, finance, cash. We also have a column called NE, which stands for non-eligible. Depending on your dealership, you may have some deals that you had no opportunity in, and the dealer is in agreement that they should not be used in calculation of penetrations on your products or PVR, etc. You would identify that unit as a non-eligible on NE. It would be in your total units counts, but not in the calculation. And then we have an AS, which stands for after sell. So if you did sell a service contract to a consumer who did not buy a car, you want to ensure that you get the product count and the profit associated with that product, but it doesn't go into your unit count and dilute it. That's what that column is for. We do identify lease reserve and finance reserve independently, and each product has its own column, so they're 100% truly individual. We have 4 columns that are reserved for additional products that you don't see in the hard-coded product area under F&I products in the setup portion. We'll get to that in a moment. And if you do want to make a comment, you have that ability to do so. So moving back, let's set up our information. You have a few icons up here. One says Show Setup. That's going to expand the setup area. So for demonstration purposes, we'll pre-populate the information. In this example, we're going to set it up with 4 F&I managers, 4 sales managers, and we're going to define our franchise report as follows. We're going to break it out in new retail, new lease, used CPO, used other. But let's say you were in a large environment with maybe 7 or 8 franchises. You have up to 9 categories you could define it, and you could theoretically break out each individual franchise, or for that matter, however you wanted to. So the number of yellow, light yellow background areas is your entry points. So for your F&I manager, sales manager, and franchise, you have up to 9 that it'll track. On the left side here, we have our hard-coded F&I products, where you can add up to 4 additional products and establish objectives so that when you review the reports, you'll know how your F&I managers, sales managers, and your franchises are performing in relation to your objectives. Obviously, you can put the year in, and then you need to answer one question. It says mark yes if GAAP percentage is calculated on both finance and lease deals. For example, some leaseholders do not include GAAP. That's an opportunity for a GAAP sale. You'd want to say yes so that you get the right percentage calculating on your reports. So that's it for the setup portion. One thing to note is the next month is obviously easier. We don't expect you to repopulate that information. So if we go back and we go to Show Setup, just transfer the data over. And if there's any changes, you know, maybe Andy had left the dealership, just remove Andy's name, replace him. And that goes for any of the fields here. If your objective for some reason changed, you can change them here and they'll be only changed in the month of February. And we obviously have the delete button to remove that information. You can always put it back. So let's hide this setup for February and go back to January. So let's log a deal. We'll enter the date first. You don't need to put the year in. In fact, it's better not to. Let the program convert the date. That way it ensures it's 100% accurate, as you can see. And we'll just make up a name that this was Mr. Smith. Now, you do have a status drop-down. These statuses can be changed in the setup area. They can mean to you whatever they mean. You don't have to use it, but it's a nice tool to help manage your book of business. Stock number, if you want to put that in. Reference number, we'll put the year in, and we'll say that this is a Ford. Now, things like the year, make, model, they're just for reference on the log itself. You're not going to see that information on the actual report. So we're going to leave the model blank. Most F&I managers do fill it in. That's up to you. We'll say that Bill delivered this. Now you notice I had to use the drop down, but on subsequent entries, just the first letter will identify it for entry and self-populate it. And let's say that Andy was the sales manager involved in this. And this was a new retail, and the lender was Ford. And let's say it was $1,000 front. Again, you don't have to track the front end profit, but we will for this illustration. And there was an additional $250 profit. Now you do have to pick one of these columns. You need to identify whether it's a lease, finance, cash, non-eligible, or after sale. Obviously it's a finance. You notice there's a drop down, just letting you know that you can only enter the symbol that's above it, the header, which in this case would be an F. No lease reserve on a finance deal, but we do have finance reserve, obviously, and we'll say $500. We did sell a vehicle protection plan. We made $900. We sold prepaid maintenance at $400, gap at $700, and let's say that we sold a low jack at $400. So that's it. You know, I'm explaining as we go here, but the actual logging process per deal is roughly a minute. So if you have 100 deals a month, you're talking about an hour and a half, 2 hours maximum. And it really generates 4 dynamic reports. Great way to help you manage your book of business. It also is a way to have an external reconciliation for your DMSing. Make sure that everything's entered properly in your DMS. So let's add some extra deals here. We'll pre-populate them just to make it a little easier on the demonstration. And let's view the results. Let's click our View Report icon. Now I have these reports expanded a little bit larger in the View section above. That's up to you how big you want to make them. But as you can see, we have each F&I manager identified. And more importantly, we have all our individual products, units, everything is broken out 100%. So as we scroll down, we can see the penetrations that each F&I manager and the department is running. Now this is a little bit of an exaggeration in this example, but we want to make sure we demonstrated how the logging of the information transfers to the report. Also, as you start logging more deals, the zeros will disappear. And the program is designed that as you're not achieving the goals that your numbers populate in red. So for example, the low jack departmentally is running 33%, which is below the 35% objective. The lease and finance reserve is broken out independently. We do have total reserve. Each product income is itemized, no commingling of products. Great way to reconcile what's occurring in your department. And then we do break out some averages, your reserve, product income, per contract, PVR, and then if you are tracking the front end profit, you can see that it tracks total front, average front, and then combined with back and your averages. So right now in this example, we're running blended, new and used, everything, front and back, 35-21. If we move over to the sales manager, now obviously the totals are always the same, but we're taking the data that we logged and it's extrapolating it obviously in relation to how we set up our sales managers. Just a great tool to see which sales managers are really assisting with their desking methods. Moving across, franchise report. So remember, we defined this as new retail, new lease, used CPO, used other. Let's say that we wanted to have 6 categories. Maybe we have a 5 franchise dealership and a dedicated used car center. We'd break it out in 6 columns, right? Five for your franchises, 1 for your pre-owned. We merely go to our gear setup icon, and we would change that to 5 franchises. Automatically expands the report. So whatever you need, you just set it up. Again, that's the beauty of the program. It's 100% customizable to accommodate your needs of your dealership. And lastly, we have our lender analysis. So it's going to populate the lenders you set up. It'll show how many total finance deals and what each lender got. So in this example, Ford is getting 100% of the finance business and the lease business, but let's change that. Let's go back to our log, and we'll say in this example right here that this is going to Wells Fargo. All right, so now of the 3 deals, Ford's getting 67%, Wells is getting 33%. So it's just a nice tool to see where all your business is going. One other thing, that this is a fairly large file when you purchase it online. It's just under 10 megabytes, and that's without any data. And obviously, as you populate data over the months, the file size grows. Sometimes the file may be too large to email if you want to share reports. So we've created a solution to that, where you click this icon, it'll send just that respective month to your desktop, the reports that really has no size associated with it, that you can quickly email, and the user, when he opens it up, can view the reports, and they are not editable when you email them. Just a nice tool. So let's hit back. You can, one other thing, you can actually print each individual report with your print icon, or merely click your print button at the top, and all 4 would print. So we go back. Now, before we go into your compensation portion, let's just take a look at the year-to-date. You know, we only have 6 deals in 1 month, so there's not much going to be showing here, but it'll show you a running total year-to-date, January through December. And it's taking your departmental totals. This little button here will automatically calculate the correct product penetration, but for example, if you have a product penetration of 200% and wasn't mathematically deduced, you can override it. Maybe you had 210%, just type it in. But if you want to know what the right product penetration is, just click the button. It'll tell you. On the right side, you have your averages. And again, 1 month of numbers doesn't give a clear representation of how this works. This is a real important area here, your profit mix. So what it's showing you is how much of all your profit, how much is coming from reserve income, and how much is coming from product income. So just a nice tool. Let's go back and take a look at our compensation. Now this compensation calculator would only be applicable if you had purchased the Accelerated F&I Pay Plan with forma. That's a dynamic and extremely effective F&I Pay Plan. Let's take a look at how it would work. When you would order the logging reporting program, the Accelerated Report, you would also email us what you would want your access password to be for compensation. Once you access it, you have a box that will open up, and it has 2 buttons. One's for closer compensation, one's for director. Not all dealerships have a director, but in the event that one did, and you want to utilize this benefit, it would have another password, and you would email us what that password would be as well. But let's review the closer compensation. We already have this, for example, pre-populated. So what we're showing here is the grid along with the bonus products that are established The maximum PBR in this example was $1,500 objective. PBR spread is $74. That's changing your spread here. Maximum product penetration in this example is 200% with a spread of 14%. And then we have our bonus products where you would pull them from your selection of products. You have the ability to choose up to 2 products per bonus category and put in the correct percentages of objective along with the payout. Again, for a complete understanding of the pay plan and how it works, I highly recommend you review online the Accelerated Pay Plan with Performa tutorial. But here's how it works. You have a drop down where you would choose your appropriate F&I manager, and it automatically will know how they're pacing in relation to PVR, product penetration, their bonus, etc. So this wasn't the best example because it's showing a very high product penetration, obviously exceeding the objective here. So in this case, this individual, Bob, has maximized his first bonus product 2-tiered plateau of 1.5%, the second bonus product, the maximum grid of 15% for a total payout of 18%. Now again, we only have a few deals logged. His individual gross F&I income was $68.58. You can put in chargebacks, and it's showing his gross compensation. If there was other compensation, you'd fill that field in, and then was there a draw, you could take that out, use a minus sign, and it'll give you the net. Now, in our Accelerated Pay Plan with Performa, we have the ability to calculate 3 different pay plan scenarios. One of them is whether the pay is departmental or individual. In this example, it's purely individual, but if it was departmental, you would merely go true in that box. Let's take a look at another F&I manager. And by the way, one of the reasons why they're individual is you may want to print this. Just click your print icon, and that way you can hand your individual F&I manager his anticipated compensation. We don't recommend this as the final proof of compensation, but it's a great tool to hand to your office manager or whoever does your final compensation as a form of reconciliation. So let's look at John, and all the numbers will change in relation to his PBR and how he's pacing in product penetration and etc. So in this example, John didn't hit his bonus levels, which was based on service contract penetration. And we can see as we move forward how each one would work. Keep in mind, each month is truly independent because things change, certainly in the automotive industry. So let's go back. Just a few other tools. We do have a delete button here. Deletes the whole log, so be careful if you use that. If by some reason you did accidentally click it, don't panic. Just close your program and don't save the changes, and it'll reopen with your last entry that you had saved at. And that goes true for our setup portion, where we can clear that information, close it out. So this concludes our Accelerated Report tutorial. As was demonstrated, this logging reporting tool is 100% customizable and is set up specific to your dealership needs. One reporting tool for your full calendar year, no more generic type of reports that don't always break out each product individually and are frankly difficult to interpret. Generates 4 truly vital and necessary reports to assist in proper performance management, not loaded with unnecessary reports that are never viewed. Will automatically calculate compensation for up to 9 F&I managers, including a finance director, if applicable, if you take advantage of our Accelerated F&I Pay Plan with Performa program. It's a great way, as I mentioned, to reconcile with your DMS system utilizing an external source. Please visit our website for pricing and additional product information. Thank you.